I'm one of the rare few that don't hate any single one of the Nopons that we've gotten throughout Xenoblade. Now, I feel like with most people, they may think, oh, I like Ricky, he's cool, but then absolutely hate Tora, or they think Ricky's useless and does nothing for the plot, which, I mean, he kind of does, and Tora's, like, cool. But, like, with me, never hated a single one of them. I always thought, oh, they're a funny little guy, as, the Rex quote in Chapter 2. And what's not to like about the Nopon? Like, they're just funny. Like, they have some of the best cutscenes throughout the series. With, like, Ricky's whole introduction, like, that's funny. Like, they basically play volleyball with him. And, like, that's funny. Like, Ryan gets basically hit in the face with it. And then there's, like, the shot of everybody looking down, which is, like, used for memes a lot. So, I mean, there you go. Also, I guess one of my favorite Ricky scenes is in Chapter 13 with him and Dunban. I'm not gonna get in depth with it, but, like, I don't want to spoil stuff. It's just a good scene. It's a heartwarming scene. And that's, like, Ricky's best cutscene, I would say. Now with Tora on the other hand, Tora is, like, my favorite Nopon so far, which I feel like there are people out there who are gonna say, what's wrong with you? Tora makes me uncomfortable, and here's my twitlonger about it. I'm still in shock that, like, someone really wrote a twitlonger about how Tora makes them uncomfortable and how he's a bad character. And it's just like, oh my god, just stop. I guess the main reason why those, like, people kind of exist, I feel like, is, like, Donkey's fault. Because, like, Donkey kind of started the whole Xenoblade 2 hate, and, like, people just, like, take his advice as holy gospel, which, why? Why not play the game yourself instead of listen to internet man? But anyway, we don't need to talk about why the people hate Nopon. No, this is about why they're epic. Nopon are awesome. Tora is great. Tora made Poppy, and, like, just for that alone, Tora is just amazing. Best Nopon for that. And, like, his scenes, like, sure, people like to say, Blushy Crushy, and, I can't remember the name of the other heart-to-heart, but there's, like, another heart-to-heart that's, like, I think it's Tora, Bridget, and Pyra at, like, his house that people like to point fun at and say Tora is a perv, or, like, is bad, which I just always thought those were funny. And it's, like, it's not like those cutscenes are, like, they're actual cutscenes, they're heart-to-hearts, optional stuff, so, like, for the average person, they're probably not going to see that, especially not, like, the Pyra and Bridget one, because, well, that's, like, kind of a little bit out of the way. I guess you would see it when you go back to, like, his house to, do Tiger, but, like, Blushy Crushy, that one you're most likely definitely going to see, because it's, like, right where after the cutscene you turn around, like, oh, there's a heart-to-heart, let's watch this, which, that's a good heart-to-heart, that's funny. I love, like, the option, like, if you think Rex would like that with Pyra, I always thought that was just funny. And just how Nia's reaction to the entire situation is just, it's funny. But, I keep going off track. I just keep talking about other things instead of focusing on Nopon, which, I will go back on that track, I swear this time, for sure. I love that, like, how Tora's relationship with, like, Rex, because, he calls him Rex and all that. And just, like, the respect for him, respect for great driver, as he says. And just, like, those scenes with him are just also just really heartwarming, and the scenes that he has with Poppy as well are just funny. Especially the Poppy cutie pie scene when you get her, and she just picks him up. It's like, we're putting you to bed. It's like, it's great. Now with Xenoblade X, I obviously haven't played that, so I can't give my opinion on the Nopon. Even though I think they call him, like, Napon in that game. For, like, some reason, I guess to show that's, like, kind of different from the Xenoblade 1. So, I don't know what they did there. Maybe just a localization thing that they just didn't do. But anyway, I have an opinion on those guys, or mainly Tatsu, because that's, like, the one that people like to meme on. And, like, it's the worst one. So, maybe I won't like him, but I feel like I'll still, like for him what he is. And there's also, Future Connected, I forgot to mention that. Kino and Nene, which I feel like those are the Nopon that, like, anyone would probably like, because they're not there for that long, since, like, Future Connected is really short, so you don't, I guess, have to deal with them for very long. And they're not like Ricky and, like, Tora in a way. I guess Kino's kind of like Ricky, where he just constantly talks about being Hero Pawn, but it's just adorable because he's looking up to, like, Ricky. because like he's like his dad technically, not really technically, but you know, if you play the game, you know what I mean. And then Nene is just super sweet with like her quiet moment that she has like with Melia and Tyrea. But with Xenoblade 3 coming out, obviously we know we're getting, you know, Nopon from this game. And, you know, they're obviously going to be playable party members, even though they're technically not because they're heroes, which is kind of going to be weird not having a playable Nopon character. I mean, we're still going to have them, they're still going to, you know, be around, which you know, it's going to be fine. We get that Nopon itch that, you know, most people probably aren't wanting, but, you know, I'm the one of the rare few. And I've already, you know, stated about I like Manana, and just Manana's probably really funny how she, like, uses her, like, pot lid as, like, her weapon, that's just funny. And she, you know, basically going to be cooking and do all pouch item stuff. But basically, the reason why this whole video exists is because of Riku. And there's nothing really insane about Riku. Like, if you look at the footage that Nopon has showed on, like, Twitter, it's nothing to, oh, he helped you craft gems, and that's cool. And, like, oh, he was, like, been known Noah for, like, a long period of time since they were kids. Oh, that's, you know, adorable, okay. No. It's basically his English voice that this whole video exists.
Now we see real Nopon potential.
That's right. Maybe it's impossible for one Nopon,
but not for two.
I have no idea who is voicing him or who decided to give him that voice, but whoever that person is, give them a raise because Riku is gonna be the best Nopon probably. That voice alone is going to carry him. And just also, that voice alone is going to make the English dub of Xenoblade 3 100,000 times better than the Japanese one. It is such an unfitting voice for him that you look at a Nopon and you think, oh, they probably have like a high-pitched voice or something, or like, you know, how they basically sound already. All the Nopon we've gotten, you know, that makes sense. Riku's voice just does not make any sense for him. Those vocal cords should not be inside of that Nopon. I just hope that the Riku and Manana, especially Riku, has like kind of a big role in the story. Like they get their own like arc and they talk during cutscenes, kind of like Kino and Nene did, even though they didn't give much. But just I want it just strictly to be Riku. I want Riku just to commentate. Like if you think of Fire Emblem Three Houses, hell at the start of like each chapter, Gerald's voice actor gives like, hey, this is what's going on. This is like about the world, and at like the time skip he gives like the war stuff. I want Riku to do that for Xenoblade 3. And I know I did say that Riku is going to be my favorite Nopon, which, you know, there is a chance, but, like, most likely he's not going to unless he has a big role, like, kind of like what Tora does. Tora will still be my favorite, but, you know, for the memes, I'm going to go with Riku on this, because there's that voice alone. Now I'm kind of wondering, though, with Xenoblade 3, the Nopon characters that have joined the party, at least for, you know, the main part, not counting, like, Future Connector, that's more of a side thing, but Riku is called the Hero Pawn, and you know that's what people call him. And I guess you would count Future Connector in this. I know I said I wouldn't, but Kino is like a Hero Pawn in training, or that's what he calls himself. And then in Xenoblade 2, Tora is called the Master Pawn, or not the Master, just Master Pawn. I don't know why I said the Master Pawn, because like you know Poppy calls him that, and even Tora says that to Poppy. Hold on, like Poppy, Master Pawn will fix it. And I'm really curious what Xenoblade 3's rendition of that's gonna be. They could just do the lazy route of, oh, it's Hero Pawn, because, you know, Kevis, and then, I don't know, Manana is Master Pawn. That'd be boring. That's not interesting. No. Riku is going to be called the Chad Pawn, just with that voice. It all comes back around to Riku's voice. It's the Chad Pawn. We have the Hero Pawn, the Master Pawn, and the Chad Pawn. God, I cannot wait just to hear his voice more.